Hi, this is Jeffrey Elliot, the CTO of Bōzt, and your host today for today's podcast. We're talking to Chef Jeanie Roland and her husband, James. I've known Jeanie for, let's say, a number of years. We went to culinary school together. One of us has obviously aged well than the other, and that's not me. And her husband, James, who they've also been together for a number of years. They own two restaurants. One in Florida, which is celebrating its 20th year in business, The Perfect Caper, in Punta Gorda, Florida. The other in Westerly, Rhode Island, called Ella's Food and Drink, which is celebrating 9 years in business. Jeanie has written one cookbook and is working on a second cookbook. You can find their first cookbook on Amazon.com or purchase in either of her restaurants. And she's also appeared on Iron Chef Gauntlet. She's been on Beat Bobby Flay, where she beat him handedly. And I'm going to turn it over to them. Guys, how are you?
Great, Jeffrey. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you. Great to be here.
I'm glad to have you. I just wanted to ask you a little bit about your restaurants. I know that due to COVID, you've closed both of your restaurants temporarily, and I stress temporarily. Can you tell me about what led to that decision?
Well, in the beginning, we were mandated by both the state of Florida and the state of Rhode Island to close. So, mid-March 2020, Rhode Island, Gina Raimondo shut the state down. 2 days later, the governor of Florida shut Florida down. And, we were able to just sort of, we saw the writing on the wall. We knew that, this was coming. So we were able to prepare our staff, let them know that, hey, listen, this is about to happen. And everybody was wide-eyed about it. They knew what was coming, and they hopped right into the unemployment line and for compensation. And we recommended that they do that immediately the day that we let them know that we were closing. And then, midway through the, April, yeah, well, we got, we were lucky we got in line immediately for the EIDL loans and PPP, and that happened for both restaurants. And we were lucky to pay our staffs in both locations, almost, what they were making or what they would have made. And then we shut both restaurants down until the middle of the summer. Although Florida opened before Rhode Island, we waited a little bit longer. I had a sort of a medical problem that kept us from opening up here in Rhode Island. And we just waited because, at 50%, Rhode Island's still at that number that you're mandated. You can only open for a service for 50% occupancy. It's just not an equation that works for business. And although Florida is open at 100%, there's no mandate for masks. There's no social distancing. It's madness. We've got staff with comorbidities and,
or that's our age, and
that are older and frankly, our customers are more concerned about their health than they are about, having a margarita, in a public place. So,
you stayed closed in Florida despite the ability to reopen.
We did. We are. In fact, we still are closed. And
well, to be protective of the staff. I mean, because we have an indoor space only, and I just didn't want to put the staff at risk. And people were very volatile. We were trying to impose a mask, policy where, even though our town mandated it, the governor overrode it. So it was futile. And then you're putting your staff in this situation where they're getting yelled at and verbally abused and so forth, and it just wasn't worth it.
There were a few instances where our staff they had to diffuse the situation, but because we're a little bit more casual fine dining, we didn't see that we had that great a problem as some of the more casual places or super casual places
right.
or people who are just downright indignant and made people suffer.
So besides PPP, was there anything else you did to diversify your income during this closure?
Well,
we just been hanging on.
We gave the to-go program, tweaking our menu a little bit. Jeannie, made, created menus that were a little bit more casual, that were, our food isn't really something that, we enjoy packaging up to go.
It's not to-go box food.
It's not to-go box food. In fact, in the past, it's funny that one of the cooks, one of our sous chefs, halfway through this period that, we were doing to-goes, he said, "How do you like doing to-goes now? Because in the past, I'd always just say, man, you can't put that food in a box. This food can't go in a box and be enjoyed, 20 minutes from now. You got to eat this food. You know how it is, Jeffrey. It's you put so much love and time into a plate of food, and you stick it in a box, and someone puts it in their trunk, and it's pachinkoing in their trunk. By the time they get it home, it looks like could be a bowl of noodles, and it's
like
just
pachinkoing. That's a technical term.
Yeah, it's a mess. It's a sloppy mess, and no matter how nice you put it in a box or how you try to conceal it and restrict it from moving, even the staff, taking it in a bag out to someone's car, it gives you it makes you just sad, frankly.
And for those of you watching who want to see some of Jeanie and James's food, we'll include links in the description for the show, for their Instagrams, for their restaurants, for them, and also a link to Jeanie's first cookbook. Is it Butter, Cream, and Love?
Butter, Love, and Cream.
Butter, Love, and Cream.
Everybody thinks it's just like, if I'm lactose intolerant, don't go near it. It's just my philosophy more than the ingredients.
Yeah, just noshing on sticks of butter.
Yeah, I do love I do love butter and cream and all that's that.
There's more to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Lots of love.
Yeah. So tell me about the future for The Perfect Caper. Well, tell me what you've been doing. You've been working on a second book. Tell me a little bit more about the second cookbook you're working on.
So I think like everybody, even for us, we take care of my dad. It lives with us. He's like a 3 square meal a day guy. So I was one of those people during this pandemic that was like, shoot, I got to make 2 dinners or whatever for this guy every day, no matter what. And, this guy as well. So I think people got almost like, what do we make every day? It got a little bit much for everybody. So I kind of geared the book for like regular people. I think the first one, everybody kind of has a dream. They're going to write a cookbook and they want to put some fancy stuff in it because maybe you'll never do it again or something. But this one's more realistic for like the home cooks can do it. My friends can do it. Pick up the book. You could make something out of one recipe, turn it into another down the line. So it's something that I think the regular person can use, guide them through their week with ease, make a pizza in less than an hour, stuff like that, doing little tricks and enjoying it and knowing it won't always be perfect. And that I'm in the same boat as you. I mean, what do you keep in your pantry? All that kind of stuff, I think, during COVID got daunting. And then you'd go to the grocery store, it was a bunch of zombies. Like, what do I cook? What do I make? And if you only had like a couple of good things in your repertoire, you were kind of hosed, We're very lucky, my dad, I'm like, what do you want for dinner? And I rattle off things from the menu and I bring him something, and this is how we've been living for 20 years, what do I want tonight? A flauta or, duck confit? And so to switch my whole world into having to make stuff.
It's a user-friendly guide to a lot of recipes that many people are familiar with. But they think, Jesus, this is, maybe a little bit too much work. Jeanie shows them in this book that they're not difficult to do. Just, if with a well-prepared kitchen, a well-prepared pantry, and, having the right tools, there's so much you can do. And I mean, it's a great book.
Without being overwhelming. Because I think a lot of people, they don't need a million
Without being
spices
overwhelmed.
because you're never ever going to use
Yeah.
them. I mean, I've bought
And they're
stuff
going to go bad.
you know, and you
Yeah,
don't use it. you know?
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
that's
I think it sounds like a great guide to help people break out of the monotony of, what they're doing every week. It can get tedious and it can get repetitive. I like to joke about my pantry. I keep a lot of things in my pantry and in my fridge and my freezer. I like to say, in case of emergency, in case of emergency, yes, I have a brick of sushi grade tuna in my freezer.
yeah.
It was a little foie gras, just in case.
Low foie gras, just in case, an emergency arises where you need a low foie gras. Gotta have it. That's great. So, what's the future for Perfect Caper and the future for Ellis? 20 years and 9 years. What's the next couple of years hold?
Yeah, so we're thinking like we're gonna get we'll probably start to be open in April, we're kind of thinking.
Well, as well, the pandemic has taught us lessons.
Yeah.
We're going to do things a little bit differently. And as Jeannie was, I'm sorry.
See the marriage thing coming into play here. But I think it's gave us a step back to pause. Like a lot of things we did were super labor intensive. I was talking to you about fabricating meat. In our Florida restaurant, beef is king. Sometimes we're cleaning 3 dozen tenderloin a week. That gets grueling. You got to have somebody really good doing it. You're using all the waste and the pressure of, I don't know, the way we were taught perhaps. And some of the things I do are a little labor intensive. I've kind of taken a step back and changed how I'm doing things in that aspect to retrain myself because it's just not practical. I mean, it's labor intensive sauces and dishes aren't practical because if I don't have someone there to do them, they just take forever and they're not just worth it. They're too much stress. And we're kind of finding, I think that, we use a lot of really good product and I think I'm going to try to simplify myself. We recently found all our menus from when we opened. So that kind of took the pressure off me as a chef. I got to come up with something new or different. So I think we're going to do a lot of throwbacks and go back into my vault of what I did when I first opened and put that into some of the forefront in some of the things, and simplify what we do. I'm just excited to get back to cooking, really.
I think this is obviously the pandemic's taken a toll on everybody. So staffs in kitchens, for everybody, the people that are working from home, they've got new learned behaviors going back to work, in kitchens that haven't been open. A lot of places that are still open and continue to be open. But as Jeannie said, you've got to, or we've got to, make things easier for ourselves, for our staff, without sacrificing the enjoyment of the menu that she's created. She's created a monster in both restaurants. She writes these menus where she gets this sort of tailgate of fans that come and they say, well, I had this dish last week. Where is it? Well, it was a special last week or last month. Well, it's got to be on the menu now forever.
You can't take blah, blah, blah.
And you can't take
blah, blah, blah.
So we've got 20 years at the Caper, 20 years if you can't take this off the menu. I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised, when she starts pulling things out of the past and these things start reappearing. I think it'll bring tears to people's eyes. But, as she said, making things simpler for our staff, it really is, because there's a tremendous amount of stress that this pandemic has created for everybody. And, we want to create an easier place to work because our menu is stressful. It's, as Jeannie said,
we put stress on ourselves as well. I mean, I think that's what you do as a chef. You want to kind of push yourself and that self-loathing thing that's why I write this crazy menu that has, 14 apps and 14 entrees, and I'm doing specials and sliding salads in and making mozzarella, and it's crazy. I mean, still the people, sometimes it's me, James, and a guy, You know, it's nutty, and then
preparing for 200 people.
you're just nuts. I mean,
You know,
to do this sometimes it's just nuts.
And
it
it's
really is.
and it's you know, simplifying it makes it, you know, gives everybody a breath of fresh air. Like, you know, we our lives, when you're in a kitchen, our lives are run by timers. You know, you're always, you know, you got a timer set for this, you got a timer set for that, you got, you know, service starts at this time, you know, then lunch is over, dinner starts at this time. And, you know, Jeannie says, when you're cleaning 3 dozen tenderloins in a week, you got one guy basically fabbing one item for the menu for basically, you know, nearly 2 days. And it's just, you know, we're just trying to make things a little bit easier without sacrificing.
Yeah, the caper, there's like sometimes a 45-minute turnaround. You just did 120 for lunch, and then they're coming in at 4:30. It's like, but exciting.
Now you're also planning on, you own the building that Ella's in, and you're planning on buying the building that the Perfect Caper is in?
We are. It's the landlord finally capitulated. He's been a great landlord for, we've been in there since, well, 16 years. And he's finally at the point where he says, yeah, it's, you know, it's time, because
we have first right. After 16 years.
Every year.
We hold on.
Every year, you know, hey, listen, sell us the building, sell us the building. There's, you know, it's a large building. It's, I think it's 17,000 square feet.
It's huge.
We occupy only 4,000 feet of it. But, you know, there's great tenants in the other part of the building. So it's, I mean, it's
we get to do outside dining, you know,
And-
add to Florida and the COVID thing, which we couldn't do, which
Yeah.
kind of.
that's going to help immensely, you know, being able to add an outdoor dining. And everybody loves to dine outdoors.
Expand the kitchen, you know, stuff like that we wanted to do, and you can't do it unless you own it.
So when you go to outside dining, are you going to reduce the amount of seats inside as well?
That's not the plan.
Not the plan.
Make the kitchen bigger and do more.
Well, you know, it's yeah, I guess simplify. Yeah, I guess you
Already my chef is like foaming at the mouth. How many think we can do? It's like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Let's see.
You'll see. Yeah, I
Yeah,
guess
we get very excited for that.
this is another reason to simplify, because we're adding more seats.
Yeah.
But you know, the kitchen was small when we opened, so you know, it's adding more space to the kitchen will help the operation, you know, be more efficient, more effective.
And as we grow, put a little more casual things, because as people are dining outside, they can have more choice. And I know that stuff will sell more. That'll take a little heat off the kitchen as well. For some reason, like we're known for the burger. It's like, you know, you're making pate and somebody's like, you have the best burger in town. And you're like, yeah, see, dude, all day long.
Well, it's great to see the excitement and optimism for the future you have, for the post-COVID future you have, and that you're going, and cheers to the next 20 years of Perfect Caper.
Yeah, brother.
So I wanted to ask you, as you know, Bōzt is a restaurant recommendation app, and we're always looking for great recommendations. What are some of the places you've been missing during the pandemic, during the quarantine, and where are some of the places you're excited to go? And it could be the Perfect Caper.
Well, that's high on our list.
It's definitely our own place.
Ella's and Ella's Food and Drink and the Perfect Caper 1 and 2 are high on our list. There are things that we miss from both restaurants that, you know, or just take too much time and effort to make at home. But I mean,
we like going into the city.
New York City, man. New York
I want to
City.
go into Leyburn and eat some salmon rillettes at the bar and have a French 75. I like that. And,
yeah,
you know, treat ourselves. We work really hard. We just started taking vacations like 4 years ago. So even just going to the city is a big deal for us, to go spend overnight and just eat as much as we can and stop at bakeries. And I'm excited to do that. And, you know,
we could easily stay in New York City for 3 days and have 3 dozen meals.
Yeah.
I think one of the things coming out of this is just going somewhere where, you know, you can sit down and be comfortable, and
Feel
have
special.
somebody take care of you, and be in a communal space once again, and and be comfortable. It's I'm not comfortable going to a gas station right now, pumping gas outdoors. It's just it's a crazy feeling, and it's the same for everybody. And it's we're in a somewhat rural area in Rhode Island. I couldn't imagine being in a city, without any personal space and what have you. But New York City is definitely one of the places that we'll go, and we'll love all the places that we've been to dine, and that we love to dine in. Eric Repair's place, Balud's places, all of them.
We're getting some fish and chips locally, or fried clams. Personally, which
Jeannie, if you want that recipe for salmon rillette, it was on my station in La Bernardin. I made it about 3 weeks ago.
Oh, nice.
Oh, no kidding.
That's just one of my,
well,
something about that and the tuna with the foie gras. And we like the bar. I like going in the dining room, but there's something about sliding in there in the winter and you feel like you're just getting the best thing in the world in this place.
It's intoxicating.
Yeah, it really is. It is intoxicating.
Just the atmosphere alone in there is intoxicating.
Well, it makes you feel special, and that's even in our restaurants. People come to get away, to dine, to do something different they can't do anywhere else, and we like to take you there and let you forget. And this time it's hard when you're pulling off masks and stuffing them in a bag, and you got all these rules. I think it'll be nice in a year when everybody can take a deep breath and dress up and be fancy and drink champagne and get a little nutty again. That's what we're looking forward to.
All right. Well, it's been great talking to you guys. I'm excited for Perfect Caper. I promise I will drive up to Ella's at one point. It's about 4 hours from here, but I'll do it. I'll do it at some point.
Up on the train, man. Up on the train. Come on up.
All right. Will do. Thank you. Thank you for talking, and thank you for boasting about a restaurant for us, and good luck.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Good luck to you.
Thank
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.